The Jets lose to the Detroit Lions 20-17. We fall to 7-7. Here are my top 5 takeaways. Jets! Welcome to Jets Talk. My name is Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, the New York Jets lose a heartbreaker to the Detroit Lions 20-17 in a game that really hurts the Jets in terms of their playoff potential. We're going to have to win out the rest of the way. Luckily, the Patriots gave us a little bit of a gift at the end there, doing a little fumble-rooski with the Raiders returning it all the way for a touchdown. So they lose. Dolphins lose. Jets, if we win out and we get one Patriots loss, the Jets are going to be able to get into the playoffs, but we have to win every game from here on out. And this one was frustrating because this was one of the worst teams in the NFL in terms of their defense, and the Jets were only able to muster just 17 points. So without further ado, let's jump into my top 5 takeaways. First one, this is going down on the special teams. And to start the day off, the defense allowed the Lions to drive all the way down the field, got all the way down to the half-yard line, and then they grit their teeth, dig their heels in, and stop the Lions on 4th down. That's great. All well and good. But then the special teams, or the offense, is put in a bad position. They can't throw the ball really because their back is in the end zone. God forbid you get a holding penalty or any type of penalty in the end zone. It's a safety. So they're just trying to get out from their own shadow. Jets wind up punting away with virtually no room to try and punt, and the punt return goes for a touchdown. That was the first points of the game. And then when you look at the tail end of the game, just a brutal 58-yard field goal that went wide left on Zuerlein. And for me, I don't want to say these were small plays, but I don't want to say they were big plays either, because I don't really hold special teams overly accountable for the situations they were put in today, because the defense was the unit that allowed the specialty, or that allowed the Lions to go all the way down to the half-yard line, prevented the offense from doing anything at all. They did get the stop, but I almost look at the punt return touchdown as a touchdown because of the defense, because of just how everything sort of went down. Like, I get if you pump the ball out of bounds or if you get the tackle there, you have something different to talk about. But at the same time, if you're not punting with such a small threshold of space behind the offensive line of scrimmage, you're not having that short of a punt. You're not having, the issues that you kind of had. So I don't really lay this at the feet of the special team so much, but it had to be something we needed to talk about here. And then the 58-yard field goal, there's no reason the Jets should have had to kick a 58-yard field goal. This was just bad clock management, bad quarterback play, bad all the way around. Obviously missing the 58-yard field goal. We saw the 60-yarder from Zuerlein hit earlier this year. You can't expect him to hit every kick over 55 yards at this point. I'm not going to, rake him over the coals for that. Next up, we're talking about the 4th down. This one was a bad one. This was the play that essentially ended the Jets. It was 4th and inches, and the defense allows a game-winning 50-yard touchdown to the tight end. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, there's no way this dude scores a touchdown in any sort of capacity right here. This was actually the second longest go-ahead touchdown in the last 20 years. And the Jets gave it up. This was like one of the best Jet defenses I've ever seen, and we gave up that kind of a play. When I saw the initial play, I thought for sure it was C.J. Mosley. I saw him getting aggressive on the sideline, throwing his helmet. Turns out it wasn't him. It seems like it was either Whitehead or Williams that missed an assignment. Either way, this dude was wide open and was just an awful, awful look, and ultimately put the Jets in an awful situation where they then needed to drive all the way down the field just to attempt a game-tying field goal. But that was brutal. You cannot allow this type of performance on the final drive. And this is a defense that really was clearly missing Quinnen Williams today. There's a lot of injuries. Teams are banged up. I understand. But, you're missing your best defensive player, and it kind of showed. We weren't able to get any pressure on the Lions. I don't think we recorded a sack at all, and we really haven't had any turnovers to speak of in the last, 4 or 5 games. You're talking the Jets are 1-4 in this last stretch, and all the turnovers that we had at the beginning of the season are just not coming by way of, it's just not happening. The Jets are not getting the turnovers. You're not able to swing that turnover battle. I've said it before. Turnovers are the biggest indicator in terms of, or I should say, turnover differential is the biggest indicator in terms of wins. And because the Jets have not gotten those and we have given away the football, the Jets have been on the losing side of a lot of these games. So as much as this is a game where the defense technically only allowed 13 points because the punt return was on the touch. The punt return was the touchdown. I do credit the defense for that touchdown as well because they allowed the offense to go all the way down the field. So really not the best performance from our Jets defense today. Was a little disappointed there. The Jets offensive line, not a great day for them as well. They allow 4 sacks and we only get 2.27 yards per rush. This is really bad. And the yards per rush isn't necessarily entirely on the offensive line. Some of that has to do with the way the Lions were playing the Jets because of the lack of confidence maybe in the quarterback position with the ability to push the ball down the field. But overall, the offensive line cannot allow as many sacks as they allowed. They cannot allow just 2.3 yards per rush. Like that's abysmal. You're talking about a backfield with Bam Knight and Carter. This is something that is not. Look, I'm not going to say the Jets are world beaters in terms of the ground game, but we should have been able to move the ball on this Lions defense. This isn't one of the strongest defenses in the NFL, and the Jets just really could not get anything. They got 50 yards total on the day, and it really was, it felt like a lot less, I'll be honest. Next thing up, we're going to talk about Zach Wilson. This was his first performance in the last few games since the Patriot game, where he said he did not let the defense down. Well, he didn't really let the defense down today. I thought he played well, or at least he wasn't the main reason we lost. He ends the day 18 of 35, 51% completion percentage, 317 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he was sacked 4 times. So when I'm looking at this, the interception was atrocious. And it could have been more than just that. The fact that Carter was able to get that duck of a pass up the left sideline is pretty lucky. But by and large, Zach Wilson did not lose this game for the New York Jets. He had the yardage, he had the touchdowns, he was able to create some plays with his mobility, but he was still unable to hit the easy throws. There were so many plays where wide receivers are running wide open, and Zach Wilson either didn't pull the trigger or did not complete the pass, and you cannot have a 50% completion percentage against one of the worst defenses in the league. And people are going to say, Ryan, well, Mike White played against the Vikings. They have a bad pass defense, and he didn't have a great day, and the Jets lost that game. What's the difference? Well, I'll tell you this. The Jets had like 4 plays that were within inches of the Jets winning that game. You're talking the shoestring tackle to Corey Davis, the slight step out of bounds by Garrett Wilson, the bomb to Garrett Wilson from Mike White that was like just past his outstretched fingertips, and then obviously the Berrios drop in the end zone. And that's, to me, what the difference is. It didn't feel like Zach Wilson had us in a position to really lock down this game at any point. It felt like we were always just kind of holding our breath, hoping for those big plays. And we had a few of them. There was a lot of really nice plays. The throw to Elijah Moore with 1 second left. I don't know how he completed that pass. It was completely across the field. But by and large, this was not a performance that I loved. I think for me, when I'm looking at Zach Wilson, I don't think it was a bad performance. Like, I don't want to say that. And this was a performance I would be happy with in a game that we are considering growth. If this is a top 15 defense, this is a nice day for Zach Wilson. You're talking one of the worst defenses in the league with playoff implications on the line in your own house, and you just couldn't quite get it done. So for me, when I'm looking at the quarterback position, I'm really hoping Mike White's going to start on Thursday. It does not seem likely on a short week. I really think we're going to see Zach Wilson the rest of the way out here. I'll be honest, I have no idea what the Jets do in terms of quarterback. This is going to be fascinating to watch. I'm going to keep my, finger on the pulse this week, see what Robert Saleh says. Obviously, he's got to get a little bit more information on the injury status of Mike White. But overall, this was one of Zach's better-ish games overall. And really, he had us in position at the very end to kick a 58-yard field goal. So I can't get too upset with the way he played. I just don't know if this was enough for me to keep him in place of a healthy Mike White. You guys can let me know what your thoughts are on that down below. And then the final story, and I think it's really the biggest one, the clock management from Robert Saleh at the end of this game. and just Robert Saleh in general overall in this game. You have to take onus on this defense with the 4th and inches play. Like, I don't know how you allow a 50-yard touchdown. It's, like I said, it's the second longest go-ahead touchdown in the last 20 years in the NFL. You're supposed to be one of the best defensive minds in the game. This cannot happen. This is entirely on the players. You were missing Quinnen Williams. I get that. You didn't have all your cards, but it's not something that should happen. This needs to be, you need to be slammed for this one. I'm sorry, it's not good. And then the clock management. That was really the biggest part that I think a lot of fans took away from this game. The Jets had the ball with 1 minute and 49 seconds on the clock with 3 timeouts, and the Jets had to settle for kicking a field goal of 58 yards on first down with a timeout in their pocket. This is unacceptable. As a coach, there's only so much you can really control. You can control the play calling to the extent of which you call the plays. You can control the preparation for the game as much as you can. You can't control what the players do on the field. You can't control what the refs call on the field, but you can control the time of possession. The Jets signed a guy. They got, that's the smash guy. They got that dude to come in for a clock management, and apparently it hasn't done anything at all. Because this was absolutely atrocious handling of timeouts. There's no situation with 1 minute 49 seconds left and 3 timeouts where you should be settling for a 58-yard field goal on first down. Unacceptable. Absolutely the backbreaker that ultimately ended up causing the Jets to lose this game. And it just didn't give us a shot. I think a good coach at this, and I don't want to say Robert Saleh is a bad coach. I don't think that at all. But the clock management needs to be better. There needs to be someone on staff that understands the downs and distances, the benefits of calling timeouts, the risk analysis of this whole situation when the game is on the line. Like, this is a really important, critical part of your job. You need to be able to use your timeouts wisely. You save them till the end of the game so you have this opportunity. Here's what Robert Saleh had to say about the usage of the timeouts.
I'll look back at it. With 3 timeouts, feel like anything in bounds, obviously you can be aggressive. You can still just trying to save as many timeouts as I can. I can probably look back at it and say we could have used one for sure. But at the same time, when you have 3 timeouts, time's not an issue whether you use one there or not. But yeah, I could always just, in hindsight, for me, call the timeout, just settle the guys down. But no, it's okay. But as far as from a time standpoint, you still have plenty of time with 3 timeouts.
So Saleh does show a little bit of regret. He says he could have used a timeout towards the end there, maybe collected his guys a little bit, got them in a little bit more of a comfortable position. And I say, yeah, look, like, you look back at the tape, you're going to see the defense that we're so proud of cracked at the wrong time after playing a good game. They played a solid game. They really did. And then, obviously, the clock management at the end of the game. You cannot be kicking a 58-yarder on first down. There's no situation. Like, 58 yards, what'd you get, 30 yards? You got the ball at the 25 or 20, whatever it was. I think Berrios ran the ball out, so I think it was like the 22-yard line. That's all you were able to muster? Dude, that's not okay. Zach Wilson cannot be taking big-time sacks in big-time positions. That was a big issue. Cannot be taking those hits. You're not helping your offensive line by holding on to the ball that long. Overall, this was a really sloppy game from the New York Jets. And look, we need a lot of help. Right now, the Jets have a 98% chance of making the playoffs if they win out and have a Patriots. Well, they need the Patriots loss. If the Jets win outright, you have a 98% chance of getting in. Because they believe the Patriots are going to lose one of these next 3. We got very lucky with the Dolphins dropping a game and the Patriots dropping a game in spectacular fashion. Nonetheless, last-second touchdown, Chandler Jones recovering what ended up being a fumble. It was a lateral pass. The Jets are lucky to be where they are right now. We ended up, before the first Patriot game, we were 6-3. We are now 7-7. The Jets have gone 1-4 over the course of the last 5 games, and injury has played a factor. Coaching has played a factor. Quarterback play has played a factor. And it just feels like we were just slightly off. Like, the last 2 losses to Minnesota and Buffalo were brutal, but they were good teams. You're losing to the number 1 seed in the AFC and the number 2 seed in the NFC. Like, that is incredibly frustrating. Those are good teams. This team, the Lions, they're coming in hot. Like, don't get me wrong. They are a very strong team. Their future is very bright. But this is one of the worst defenses in football, and that's all you were able to muster. 17 points. Unacceptable. Guys, I want to hear your thoughts of this game down below in the comments. What were your top 5 takeaways? What did you think were the biggest issues with this game overall? What do you think of the Jets' playoff chances moving forward? Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, go Jets.